Hi, welcome everyone to our sales Zoom call. Really, it's designed to be a Q&A to help you guys. Anyway, I'm in my parents' house broadcasting from California. And man, the weather was so nice today. Really nice. Such a good time. And you know, the problem with broadcasting from my mom and dad's house is that my mom's got snacks all over the place. And then she's cooking all this great Filipino food, all my favorite stuff. So, and my oldest daughter's here with me. So my daughter's learning how to cook some of the stuff, which is really good for her. And, but it's been like nonstop eating since we landed. Oh my God. So we've made a pact that, the calories that we consume here stays here in California when we get on the plane. So that's our easy way of rationalizing our consumption of my mom's cooking. So, hey, look, man, she's 90 and my dad's 91, and they're still kicking, thank God, anyway. So we've been having fun. All right, I've been getting some really good coaching calls with agents, and it's been really good. I recorded one for one agent, and I'm thinking, you know what, I need to record these because I am making some recommendations that seem to be working out really well. Oh, that is kind of like, doesn't look bad. It does look like a bedroom, doesn't it? Anyway, we'll just go with the realistic background. Anyway, because I just hate it kind of looks weird around my head. We've been doing some really great coaching, and it's interesting the stuff that comes out that agents need help with. And when someone asks me a question, sometimes I pull stuff out that I hadn't taught in decades, like stuff that's been useful and helpful to other agents over the years, and it's real powerful. So I think I'm going to try to, these coaching calls have been super productive. So I'm going to try maybe to video some of them. And that video I sent out on how commissions work, that's Mandy and I were going, she didn't really understand it. And so I did a step-by-step, and I think she totally understands it now. I had another one already uploaded, but I'm really going to super detail. This one I made much more simple, and she totally got it, and benefits that I think we can share with everybody. So tonight I have zero agenda. Sometimes I come in here with some teaching things that I want to focus on. But really tonight, man, it's just free for all, whatever. It's open mic, what Rush used to call it, open mic Fridays. So you can talk about whatever we want to talk about. So that's what this is, open mic Thursday. And so does anyone have any questions for me about anything sales oriented? Obviously I'm oriented towards selling, but I mean, we'll cover some other topics. Don't get me started with University of Michigan football cheaters. You start getting me talking about that, then we start talking about Houston Astro cheaters, and I'll go off on that because I can go off on that stuff. Anyway, anybody? I could give you my opinion on all that if you want.
So does anyone have any strategies when it comes to, texting a client when you've called and you haven't had any success? Does anybody text or have any kind of texting strategies that have found effective?
So yeah, anyone can chime in too, by the way. One thing that I've found effective that I've used is if it is a lead, like a direct mail lead, I'll take a snapshot of it and then I'll text it to the client to show them the lead they filled out. And I've gotten some good feedback on that. If you don't have a lead, then you don't have anything to text them, but all you can tell them is, hey, this is the information you filled out online for final expense, and then you fill in all the information, like your favorite color is red, you live at this address, we're looking for 25,000, you talk to David, just kind of list everything that's on the spreadsheet and then text it to him, say, well, I've been trying to reach you, try you again. Anyone have any other effective ways of texting people?
The only question I have is, have you tried calling at different times?
Yeah, I've done morning, I've done afternoon, I've done nighttime. So 100% I've tried all those other options, and they are mail. So, the picture is effective, but I know what I can't say, but what would you recommend that I do say when you're sending those texts? I don't want to completely kill them, so trying to save some hope.
I don't know how much more you can say other than that. Doesn't make it sound salesy, but I think it always begins with a question. Like if you ever involve yourself with AI texting, basically they're asking you questions. So I'd start off with just simple questions. I tell them who I am, the information on the lead, and then I would say something like, so how soon were you wanting to put this in place? Just to engage them. They'll text back or not text back. When I've had someone start texting me back, then I got them hooked. To me, that's just, a sign of interest. Then again, just keep dialing. The other thing too is, basically your question, really the larger questions you're asking, Daryl, is, how do you get in touch with Lisa? I don't pick up the phone, right? So texting is one. The other way of doing it is there are some apps out there that masks your number or changes your number to a different number. And so there's a point where, the number's the same number that they see, they're not going to pick up. So I'll use, like back in the day, right? Back in the day, what I would do is I would get another, like this is when I was running leads up in Fort Wayne, Indiana, because there's just a ton of leads. And Fort Wayne was really good because it was a GM town. So you had people that made money, that were laborers that made a lot of money, that could afford insurance. I don't know if you've ever been to Fort Wayne, but there weren't too many trashy areas of Fort Wayne, honestly, at least that were turning in the leads. And so I'd go up there, I'd run the crap, and it was like 3 hours from where I lived. And I'd go out there, run a full day of appointments because I had like an appointment book. I went from house to house to house to house. I double booked appointments like crazy. And I'd come back, written 5, 6, 7,000 in a day. So what I did was, in order to get people to pick up the phone, I picked up a flip phone. Okay. So I had, at the time, I had the smartphone. I think it was still like the first iPhones that came out. Anyway, so I had smartphone, but then I'd get a flip phone. And I get a flip phone with that area code in that city. And then so I called from 2 numbers, my 937 area code number here in Ohio, and then I called from I think I used a 317 because that was that's Indianapolis. So people in Fort Wayne would data, they see 317, they think it's Indianapolis, so they pick up anyway. So I call from both numbers. So what I would do to get a ton of dials is I would dial from both numbers. I'd alternate numbers, or I'd alternate numbers. Like one shift, I'd use my one number. The second shift, I'd use the other number. And that phone was only like $10 a month because I didn't get data on it. It was a flip phone. I got it as cheap as I could, just to have another phone number. And that's the way I did it. I don't think at the time back then they had apps that masked your number. That's what I did. And I get people to pick up after they got used to my other number. Oh, here's the one. This is where it always worked. No shows. So I get no showed by somebody and they know my number, right? Because I booked an appointment with them. I freaking call them from the other phone number and they pick up every time. Because when you get no showed, how when you try to catch up with them, they never pick up because they know it's you calling. They feel guilty or whatever. I call from the other number. They always picked up from the other number. It was awesome. Was it worth an extra $10 a month for the phone service? But I understand, I have not researched it lately, but there are apps that you can call from your phone, but you can use an app that you can put another number in there. I'm not familiar with these, but you can Google it. And that was another way to get people to pick up the phone. And then messages. So in fact, I just coached someone on this recently. Alex, do you leave messages? I go, yeah. So it depends on the lead. So for example, if you got a mortgage protection lead, I'd get like a 90% return call rate on this message. I would say, hey, Joe, this is Alex from the mortgage protection department. Hey, listen, really important that you get back with me right away about your mortgage. Okay, here's my number. And then ask for Alex in the mortgage department. 90%. And within 24 hours, they'd call me in a couple hours. Most of them would call me back right away. I say, yeah. Oh, they go, yeah, what's up with my mortgage? I go, oh, hey, thanks for calling back. Yeah, I'm so glad you called. You filled out this pre-application form for mortgage protection. Remember back when you were filling out all that mortgage paperwork? One of the forms in there had to do with protecting your mortgage in the event of death. It's just urgent we get back with us because we hadn't shown that we took care of this. And so my job is to make sure that we go back to all our mortgage folks and go back and follow up on these forms. Remember filling out a form like that? Oh, yeah, I remember filling that out. Boom, then I go to town. On final expense, the message I would leave is, hey, Joe, this is Alex from the Senior Benefits Center here in the state of Ohio. Listen, you filled out this pre-application form and we have it here at the Senior Benefits Center, state of Ohio. Urgent you get back to me because we need to complete this. There's some of the information you put on here I couldn't read. So please get back with me. That's the message I would leave. And that would be that message after several times of calling at different times. And, so those are just things that have worked for me. I don't know if it worked for you, but it has worked for me to, get a hold of people, give them a sense of urgency. And then when they call back, I promise you, they never got mad. Well, I thought you were blah, blah. Because when I tell them about the mortgage, remember those forms you filled out during your mortgage? Now they don't remember any forms they filled out because it was all those forms they filled out. So they had no clue. Now, anyway, I was able to book a ton of callbacks with that mortgage one. And then, final expense, same thing. You got a shot. If you got 1 or 2 out of 10 to return a call, that's way better than doing nothing. You know what I'm saying? or using some lame, hello, this is Alex, and I have this form you sent that you got to have urgency. Does that make sense? Then, of course, texting, the picture, and doing whatever you can to take advantage of the technology. But then again, you can't get a hold of everybody. Not everyone's going to be interested. It's all part of the game. But it's all percentages. Like if you never try anything, you get nothing out of it. But if you do something every time and create a process by which you try to get a hold of the client all kinds of different ways, having a separate number, doing the texting, doing everything, then by following a process, you're going to get a percentage of people that will call you back, that you will engage with, that you will book an appointment with, that you did not have before, okay? And I've been really big, if you notice lately, on systems and processes that you need to follow and be very meticulous at doing every time. As long as you continue to use a process that's starting to work, like you don't even know if it works, create a process, and then handling objection process. What is your process to handle the top 5 objections? We're not interested anymore. We took care of that. We don't have time. We can't afford it. If you know what to say to every single one of those, then you've created an objection handling process that will work if you use it every time. So like when someone says, now we're not interested anymore, boom, you come back with the one that you use every single time someone says that. Like if I say that to you in your sleep, you wake up and you're gonna spit it out. Like that's how meticulous you have to be. One thing for sure, I know I'm going off now. When I was at the Air Force Academy, when they shaved my head, I was this bald head. I lost like 30 pounds. So I was 128 pounds. I went from 160 to 128 from boot camp. I could actually put on my sister's pants when I got home for Christmas because I had a 28 waist, and I actually put on my sister's jeans. It was tight, but I could put them on and zip them up, which is crazy. This is when I was a freshman. So I went at the academy. I was 17 years old. Actually, I turned 18 in October that year. So I went in at 17 at boot camp in June. Anyway, the point is they taught us 5 responses. As a freshman, you can only say yes, sir, no, sir, no excuse, sir. Like the answer to a why question is no excuse, sir. And sir, may I ask a question? I make a statement. That's amazing that I remember that after over 40 years, they taught us 5 responses. Yes, sir, no, sir, no excuse, sir, which is an answer to a why question. Sir, may I ask a question? Sir, may I make a statement? Or ma'am. It's crazy, I remember. That's how ingrained we were. And if we said anything, the upperclassmen would yell and scream at us, and we're at a brace, their shoulders backing down and our chins in, and they would scream at us, and that was part of the game. And then when I was an upperclassman, I screamed at cadets. It was fun. We had fun actually doing it as upperclassmen because, we got crap when we were doolies. Anyway, the bottom line is we knew what we were going to say, and what they were doing, I'd say like 80% of my classmates became pilots. I was the 20% that did not become a pilot. And what they were training us to do, assuming that we were going to be pilots, was this instant checklist mindset that you react as like with muscle memory. And what that is emergency procedures in an aircraft. So those of you that were pilots, there are emergency procedures that you have to automatically, like engine flame out. Okay, then there's like a checklist in their brains of what they got to do if an engine flames out, right? In a spin, there's a checklist that they do if the aircraft's in a spin. Not only the skill, but there's a checklist, loss of power, whatever. Landing gear, not engaging, landing gear doesn't come down. For every emergency, there's a checklist that they do automatically in their brain. Because otherwise you die. If you don't react immediately in the steps you're supposed to stall, you're going to die. Not only are you going to die, but a multi-million-dollar weapon system that you're flying is going to crash. Well, if their lives depend on them, right, to have a checklist that they got to recite from muscle memory, how much more you, 100% commissioned salesperson, your livelihood depends on you booking these appointments. For some of you are doing this part-time, right? How much more you have to have a checklist mentality when you run into these objections, both objections in the home, objections on the phone, right? How much more do you need to memorize the 7-step submarine process? Memorize all 7 steps. Like if I asked you right now, name the 7 steps, you should be able to go bum, 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 bum. On report, upfront contract, pain finding, budget, decision, post-sell. But I bet you some of you don't have that memorized, but you should. You should have them memorized. We're talking about your sales life here. If you want to stop getting frustrated about not making enough money as soon as you thought you wanted to, let me ask you, do you have the process memorized? Do you have your 5 answers to objections memorized so that when I say that to you, you can pop it off like right now? Like, do you even know what to say? I don't even care if you use what I teach you, as long as you have something that you say every damn time. And then we can coach you on, will it work work or not? Do you have that memorized? Like if I went through every single person, all 28 people on this call besides me, and I fired the 5 top phone objections, would you be able to pop them off like that? Okay. Text me in the chat box, right, that you can do all 5 of those. All right. Because if you can, then I'm super impressed. But if you cannot, and you've been with me for like 6 months, a year, or 3 months, or 2 months, then I think we know what we need to work on, don't we? We need to work on being more serious about this. Like this is your life and your livelihood. You're like a pilot of your own Alliance aircraft, where this is just like, I'm serious about this. Now I'm getting all riled up. You ever get me back into the academy mentality? It is life and death, and that's why they teach us stuff. Like when we were doing POW camp was a unique experience because they actually beat us the hell up. I remember coming out of the POW camp, I had bruises up in here. Some guys broke their collarbones, got their collars, because there was a certain way they beat us. If you can imagine, there's a safe way to beat you in simulated POW camp. What they do is they roll up your collar, and then these big linebackers. They're actually linebackers from the football team, and they picked you up and beat you against the wall in a figure 8. So it's a figure 8 motion, and this is a way that they figure it out. And there's plywood walls, so the plywood wall would give a little bit when your head hit the back of the thing, and the force was beating you on your chest. So when they beat up us against a wall like this, and you had to keep your head. Now, why do they do that? It's because they want to simulate as best they could. They couldn't kill us, although it felt like, man, please kill me now. And then they also would say, okay, now we're going to beat one of your enemy female. And so they'd have a female in the other interrogation room screaming, and then they'd say, okay, you're not going to tell us what we need to know. We're going to beat the crap out of her. So why do I say that? It's like there's a seriousness that you need to approach this business. It isn't fun and games if your livelihood depends on this. If you're talking about making money, well, then let's get serious, dude. Let's get serious about making this business work. And that's bearing down on learning what you need to learn, or you can just pop it off. It just means studying. It just means practicing, like recording yourself making dials. Have you ever listened to yourself make dials? That's one of the most powerful coaching tool, is while you're making dials, you're recording yourself I use an MP3 recorder, a Sony MP3 recorder, and I used to record myself doing phone dials. And then I play it back, and then it's like, oh my gosh, I wouldn't have booked an appointment with me if I sounded like that crappy, right? It's like, wake up, do it. I make this suggestion, and you know what? How many people got 28 on here now? I promise you, next week, only 3 of you out of 28 will do what I recommend. It's crazy. Only 3 of 28 are going to go out and get a $40, $25 MP3 recorder from, I was going to say Radio Shack, from Office Depot, and then just record yourself and listen back, man. And I tell you, you will hear how sucky you sound, right? And that's tremendous self-coaching, because you will hear, so keep on doing it, and then get the feedback and learn it, and prove me wrong next week. Tell me that you did it. Tell me that you got an MP3 recorder and that you're listening to yourself. Like a lot of you getting a shit ton of leads, excuse my French, because I'm getting riled up right now. Why am I getting riled up? Because this is your life, dudes. This is your life. This is your financial life we're talking about here. And if you're not going to take it as serious as I take it, because I take it pretty damn serious. You should see my coaching calendars getting filled up. I love it. I am coaching you hard. Those of you that have sat down with me, like Gerard, CJ, I'm coaching you hard. Okay, you may not think it's hard, but it is for me, the stuff I'm recommending is really intense. And because we're talking about your financial life. So you need to, like I said, treat it with some level of seriousness. Does that make sense, or I'm being an asshole? Look, we're friends. You can tell me.
It makes sense, Alex. Total.
Thank you, Mary. You know what everyone says? Well, Mary has to say that. Mary doesn't have to say anything she doesn't want to say. But...
And I won't. Doing my cold calls for recruiting because I want to hear what I say, and I have no problem sharing them with Alex to get my coaching. Okay, so I'm not any better than anybody else, and I'm going to do the hard work because what he's recommending is going to help me as well.
I'll tell you what, Mary's killing it right now. I'm coaching her on interviewing, cold calling agents on resumes, like what I used to do as a headhunter, and I've been coaching her hard on that, and she's been killing it. She's identifying some mega sharp people to the point that we shut down. We're going to finish out our Facebook recruiting ad campaign, because our Facebook recruiting ad campaign, what we're finding a lot of old agents that think that they can get back in the business when they really don't have the energy, the proper attitude, and the willingness to learn, and the work ethic to really make it. Honestly, we have fired a lot of people lately And most of them have come from our Facebook ad campaign. And I asked our vendor, I go, dude, why is the quality of our Facebook ad, the quality of the people responding to Facebook ads gone down? Because a year ago, 2 years ago, it was really rocking. Now the quality has gone down. No offense to you that have filtered through the Facebook ad campaign and you're on the call. Okay, no offense to you. Okay, I'm just talking percentages. We fired several in the last week that they weren't cutting it from an attitude perspective. They were they were tired. It's not even related to age as much as attitude and mentality. And, it's just, we're not going to put up with it anymore. And we found a majority of them came from our Facebook ad campaign. I'm going, you know what? Let's just take a break from that and let's do what's working, which is our Indeed ads and resume searching off ZipRecruiter and our ZipRecruiter ads. That's what's working right now. And then doing warm markets. So some of you are bringing us some awesome people. We're fired up about that. Okay. So again, Mary's kicking butt on that. Okay. And we're finding some just really incredible, smart people that have gone out there and just haven't been given a chance to get mentorship, true mentorship from their upline manager. I've been hearing this a lot lately from these folks that come from resumes that we've been finding that they're not getting the help they need. And, if you were a fly on the wall listening to me do the coaching calls this last week while I've been out here in California, but Alex, you're with your parents. I know, but I'm still going to serve you. Like I'm still with my parents. I mean, I'll go downstairs and I'll eat with them and hang out with them. Right. Plus I'm on East Coast time schedule. So the time 5:30 rolls around West Coast time, it's 8:30. Most people aren't going to book me then. So I've got the evening that I hang out with my parents. So look, this is how important I think it is. I'm not going to take a week off because I need to help you. I need to serve you. And it's been going well as far as I'm concerned. So those of you that want to take advantage of it, that are taking advantage of it, you guys are rocking. Gabe, I've talked to you several times over the past 3 or 4 days. And, Gabe's getting more insight. CJ, I tell you what, CJ, he's talking to me about how he's talking to people. I go, dude, you're saying exactly what I would say. I go, I cannot get a better compliment when your stuff coming out of your mouth is the exact same kind of questions I would do. It's now you just got to do more of it. I tell you what, I see progress. I really see progress, and I'm fired up about that. So anyway, Daryl, thank you for asking that question, because that question leads to a bigger, it led to this, right? This diatribe on taking this business serious.
Yeah, I appreciate the feedback as always. And I know I'm not the only one, but yeah, you resonated a lot of good topics, and just got to get myself in a better place, better headspace is kind of what it comes down to. I guess for most people, right? Most people aren't entrepreneurs. I know if we went back 23 years when you started this business, it was a totally different shift for you coming from the corporate mindset, right? The 9 to 5, having someone up your ass 24/7, telling you what to do while you're working. This is a whole different aspect and gamut. So, for a lot of us, speaking for myself, it's just the transition from being told what to do and then telling myself what to do.
That is one of the hardest transitions, in my opinion, that if you weren't already entrepreneurial, weren't already self-employment minded, you're right. It's hard to go from a boss telling you what to do to you being your own boss, because once you're your own boss, you cut yourself slack that you do not deserve. You know what I mean? I know, because I've been there. I'm talking from personal experience. I always say this, I don't always say it, but I've taught this in the past, that would you continue to employ you if you were a boss looking at yourself as an employee? Would you fire yourself? It's kind of if you had to do a work activity report, you had to report to your manager all the activities you worked on this week. If you had to actually fill that out and turn it into yourself, would you be happy that you were turning in all this work you did, how many dials you made, how many sales you made, how many appointments, how many referrals you got? Would you be proud to turn that into yourself as the boss, or are you going to say, well, I know it was a tough week. You had a lot going on in your life, and I get it. Look, it's going to be better next week. Don't worry. Pat yourself on the back. Don't worry. It's going to be different next week. Hey, and if it's tough next week, you know what? Take off. Get your mind right. Just work it out. This week is going to be a week where you're just going to work it out and you're going to prepare yourself for the next week. So let's just take a break this week. You know how you are. I know how I was. It was okay, but it's not okay, man. So Daryl, exactly, dude. That is what we're talking about here. That difference between, self-employment mindset and employment mindset. We have the saying in the Alliance, if you treated this business like a job where you had to work 20 hours and you had to be accountable to every hour when you were clocking in and clocking out, how different would your business be? It'd be hugely different, right? All right. Thank you. Anyone else? It was quiet. Oh no, man. If I ask a question, Alex is going to go off.
Oh, Alex, I just wanted to respond to what you just said. So maybe we don't need to have an entrepreneurial mindset. Maybe we should basically kind of set up a regimen where we clock in
Yes.
and make the dials. Maybe we'll be more productive that way.
That's right.
Because I'm finding that when I do, instead of goof off, when I don't goof off, when I do make that first dial at 9:30, I do better as opposed to, delaying it.
That's right, man. Look, either you discipline yourself or your checkbook will discipline yourself. I know the young people are going, what's a checkbook? Let's say it this way. Either you discipline yourself or your bank account will discipline you, right? So that's your choice. That's great, CJ. Anyone got any other questions?
As a person that's been my whole life working a 9 to 5, how do you make that switch of that mindset of, holding yourself accountable for all your actions, your dials, and things like that without, like you said, having no boss there to make sure I'm not on the clock, so I don't have to do this today. How do you get that switch? I know it's not going to be automatic because it hasn't been for me. I think that's one of the main things I struggle with just coming in. Is telling myself this is my business and I definitely do not work it as hard as some of these other individuals that I see coming in week to week. So if anybody could expand on that, that would be greatly appreciated.
That's a great question, dude. Here's one thing, and I'll let other people answer that question too, but here's one thing. One thing that I used to do that helped me is that I would track all my numbers. So I would track all my dials. I would really seriously use that activity report, and I track it every day. So by the end of the week, I could evaluate what I did. And if I didn't get the results I needed, I know that I needed to next week perform better. Number one, I needed to get better ratios, but I need to continue to put marks on the scoreboard. So there was something really fascinating about tracking your activity from week to week to week, where you can compare how each week went and the results of each week. So it became more of an obsession of tracking that got me into the discipline. For example, this is a good example. There are guys that ever ran a marathon. I've talked to a few of them. Not that I ever wanted to do that. Never wanted to do that. But I was fascinated with the training that it takes to run a marathon. It's 23 point whatever, 6 miles or whatever, how long it. And so I asked him, so how do you train for a marathon? He goes, well, there is a, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday regimen of how many miles you need to run, at what intervals you need to run them. And, and you work your way up through, I don't know how many weeks until the marathon, especially you're doing your first one. It's wow, that is just really, but the idea is to be prepared to run a marathon. So you had to kind of backtrack to where you are today, we're in the marathon, and then how many miles each day you had to do it. And so by doing that, you had to track how many miles you did it in and what time you did, what pace were you running, what was your mile pace average. And it was just really fascinating to see these people track that. Some of you who've run marathons, I think you know what I'm talking about. There's a regimen you have to follow. Well, I think that the discipline of running a business of an agency of one, which is you, is the same thing. I think that if you get into a discipline of tracking, you'll start getting into a discipline, right? Because discipline of tracking is a discipline, and then you get to see the results of your effort, okay? It's also similar to this. It's like if you're a to-do list person, right? You write down the 10 things you got to do tomorrow. If you're at the end of the day, you do the 10 things you really need to do tomorrow. You got your A list things that you got to do. Then the B things is if you can get to it, and C is, look, it'd be great if you could get to it. Checking off through the end of the day, after you check off the ones you got done, there's a certain feeling of satisfaction, of accomplishment. It's almost like crossing off the calendar day on a calendar blotter. Every day you cross it off and you see a progress during the month, and then the little things you write down that you accomplished each day, there's this sense of a daily tracking and a daily commitment being accomplished. What happens when you do that is it increases your self-image that you're doing something, right? You look at what you've accomplished with the tick marks, the mark, slash, mark, slash, do the haystacks. You look visually at your activity report report, tracking sheet. It's like, I got a lot done. I got 351 dials in this week. I made 20 contacts. I booked 10 appointments. I sat on 7. I closed 3 for 3,500 in sales. There's just something about that, Gerard, that when you're tracking every week, there's this inherent discipline that it instills in you. So for me, it was tracking. Anyone else have any tips to how you were able to, treat this business like an employee, I guess? Kind of instilling discipline. Anybody?
Oh, go ahead, Bruce.
I was just going to say that don't keep it all to yourself. Find a partner. Maybe Alex, maybe one of the other teammates on the team here, and just find a running buddy. And, that way you kind of let each other know what your goals are and report in, because, sometimes you'll be more accountable to other people than you are to yourself, because you don't want to let people down, that you're not what not a man of your word or whatever. I know when we used to have our huddle calls, that was a big thing for me. I didn't want to be the one that didn't make my goals. So that really, even though there were a couple days where I still didn't quite make it, but it definitely brought my activity up, because I didn't want to be the low guy on the totem pole that let the whole team down.
Yeah, that's good. There are people that came out of Breakthrough Conference that came out with a accountability partner that they check in every week. I think Charlene partnered up with Dawn Hills out here in California, and I think that has helped her. Some of y'all have as well. And I think Ben, you have too, Ben Seiler. And I think hopefully it's making a difference. Hopefully you can find an accountability partner who's actually serious as well. They'll hold you accountable. I'm open to y'all finding someone on this call that you can partner with. And as long as it's a positive influence, I think maybe running it by me first would be best. Okay. Well, I want to partner with Rochelle. It's like, hold on. Okay. Let's kind of, cool your jets. Let's figure something out. Let's get someone who's, open, and let me know if you're looking for somebody. Maybe I can match y'all up. I think it's a great idea. Yeah. So
as long as just don't turn it into a gossip partner, because it can turn the other into a negative. I can see that too. So
how were your leads? They suck.
Yeah. Right.
Leads suck, man. I don't know if the system works. Can't have that. Honestly, if you and the other buddy are that negative and you can't pull yourselves out of it, then you don't need to be with us. Like, seriously, come on, man. I want to run with people that want to run. I want people that are excited about changing their lives through the struggle. You might be struggling. Everyone struggles, but let's struggle through it and get better. You get better through the struggle. Like John Maxwell, success is uphill. Okay. If you can get through the struggle, life is going to be so much better, right? But if you start downward spiraling, the sad thing is you take someone down with you. And then the bottom line is, if you both are down in the gutter and can't pick yourselves out, then get with me and get with someone who can help you out. And again, if you still want to wallow in that, then, you don't need to be on this team. You need to figure out something else, because, it's just not going to work. Right? Sorry to be so realistic about it, because you're not going to look, I am encouraging and uplifting, and I want you to win. And some of y'all know that I'll go the extra mile to help you. But at the same time, if you go the extra mile to go down in flames, you don't want my help, then you know what? I'm going to let you. I don't care. I got so many other people that care enough. I care, but I don't care. I want you to win. But if you don't want to win and you're not going to let people help you win, then, quit sooner than later, because this is not for you. I'm not going to convince you to stay with something that you personally are not going to make the effort and not invest yourself in. Okay. Now I got to start to see people quitting, like, oh, we got 30. Now it's 28. Now it's 25. Now it's 20. It's like, rock on, man, because we're going to rock with the 20 that stay, and then we're going to blow this thing up.
Hey, Alex, something I just wanted to throw in there real
please,
quick.
Please.
Okay, is that the one thing I think is just, I don't even know how to describe how kind of like great about the system, the operation, especially it being in your group with Mary and Joy, and Jenny, and everybody in here, but also more even to that is, aside from great people, it's a great system. And then if you're operating a business, your business got to have systems, and the whole structure that we've got in place here, you got components that each time it leads to something where you're going back with the record keeping. And it's like any operation has to have a component that builds upon another component and whatever. But if you're able to track all that, you're able to go back and fix stuff. And that's the thing that I think is the greatest thing that I can tell everybody here on this call that you've got here, that we've got here, that is just outstanding, is every component that you need to have. You've got it to be successful. But the best part is when you're off, you've got all the materials, the people, and everything else to go back and find out where the problem is, then go and actually work on that problem and get that together, and then start the process again. Get your process in order, get the structures in order, because they got everything. I mean, from the phone call to the appointments to the, post appointments to the referrals, but each section, it builds upon each other. And if you get the concept of all those sections and then start to operate within those sections and try to get good at each section, you'll get there. Then it's just a matter of being persistent and dogged and just trying to get at it. Because as I'm finding out too, you're gonna have some oopses, and oopses, you just got to fight through the oopses, and just keep drive. Okay. But then the best part about that is you got somebody to go to say, yo, can you help a brother out? And I'm sitting back going, because I would call Jenny help me, Alex helped me a lot, and Mary and Joy. And I'm like thinking, God, dog, man, we got the best support team you could ever have. And then you got the materials, like if they ain't there, go to the training section, they got something specific for that, so I'm sitting back going, dang. So you just hit it and then get your system together. It's going to take a little time. Be patient and persistent and lean on people, bro. Because they, like Rochelle, come in and talk about stuff. You got, Calvin and I had a great talk the other day. There's just so many people here that want to help. My thing is, I got to get my system together, and I'm working on it. I've had my oops, I'm having a little back fall, but the best part about that is I got the help and the resources to get to the next step, get through the process. It's like having a team. You coach, bottom line is everybody like a part of the team. This is also a business, and business has sections and components to get you to finish out, from sales to the materials, like the companies we got there. I mean, just all the pieces you need are here. Just operate the system. And if you keep good records, you can go back and find out where my problem is. Like right now, I just realized I got off script in my phone call, so my appointments went down. So I'm trying to figure out what the heck's going on with my appointments. And then I got sitting back, going back to the basics, and said, okay, my phone call went off the script. And tonight it was hilarious. I started to get back on the script, boom, appointments start coming back on. I'm like, I'll be a monkey's uncle, and it's just, that's how good the system is. It's just, so I'm just telling people, be patient. It's all here. You got the people, you got the products, you got training systems. You can fix what the problem is. You can identify the problem. So all I wanted to say is that, just saying, there's some good stuff here, good people. If you put yourself into it, they're going to put themselves into you. So that's my 2 cents. I'm done. I'm out. Sorry, I just had to get that out.
No, dude, I really appreciate that tremendously. And I really try to work hard to get the material up there. Like, so for example, this is the recording today. So I recorded the Willoughby call today because we've been talking about hospital indemnity, right? And so I recorded it. And so I've uploaded this. So I'm going to get this out to you guys because this is the training today on Willoughby. So I'm not waiting for the Alliance to put stuff out there to, and then try to point you guys to it. I'm going to make this available on our training website. And, we've got all these little short, some are long, but videos on different subjects, our selling system, all the drill down, like door knocking, activity sheet, referrals, handling no-shows, objection handling, the objection script, the sales submarine. You know what? That video, I replaced that video with another video. So I'm glad I was able to check that out. All the different drill down in each section of the sales submarine, product training, underwriting. So I'm going to put the Medico is going to go in this corner here when I get it's uploaded. So I'm going to put a button on Medico Hospital Indemnity so you can learn that product right away. Our different lead programs, recruiting, administrative information, auditing your commissions, important books that you have to order or that you should order, other products like estate planning and tax strategy planning. Like, all these short little things are here for you. But the most important thing is setting up a call with me or Mary or whoever you need help from. And then we coach you. We coach you up. We spend time with you. And then if I see that, after several people come up with the same thing that they need help with, and I'll do another boot camp on that thing. And that's where some of the boot camps have come out of agents struggling or not, knowing how to do referrals or, so this is where I have come up with all these boot camps that I'm going to actually put on a webpage now, because we've got the major boot camps, the in-depth drill down, the how-to in super deep drill down. So anyway, I'm not rusting. Okay. I am not, I'm not sitting back and saying, oh, there's a system. I'm trying to improve it to the point where it's a little bit obsessive compulsive. Like if you get to know me, and my wife would attest to this, that I get pretty much OCD about stuff because I'm a tinkerer, I'm a fixer. Nothing's ever, I think that I have it perfect, and then I go, you know what, this needs to be fixed, and it's constant, okay? And you could drive people crazy because I'm a constant perfectionist, which it is an obsession. It is like borderline OCD, honestly. But you're the beneficiaries of it. I hope. I think it's benefiting you, but my OCD-ness when it comes to that is, maybe works in your favor. So, anyone else? We're at 9:26. We've got 4 more minutes.
Hey, Alex, I was just going to echo something. Breakthrough is what really did it for me. I'm really consistent with working on my calendar. I mean, I found, 10 minutes here, 20 minutes there. And I'm doing more, it seems like I'm doing more with agents, with the training, and agents can call me. But I'm still working on my own sales too. So I'm trying to work that balance. But breakthrough, I'm still reading my cards still reading the cards and still going back through the material. It was just an awesome thing. And so that was probably the turning point. And like Talib said, I hear you guys tell me this all the time. They've never seen the kind of resources we have. I mean, when we're training on the arc, or we're training and showing them where this and that is. And I tell them, and besides that, you've got lifelines. You've got Alex, you've got me, you've got Mary, you can call. We're not putting you out there to sink or swim. And that's how so many people have felt when they came from another organization or, and the new people who are brand newly licensed, they have nothing else to compare it to, but just to hear me tell them, we're really one of the best. And our group really, we care about each other. It's not cold, we really do care about each other. So I hear an awful lot of good feedback. I just wanted to say that real quick.
That's great. I appreciate that, Joy. So let me leave you with this. This is one of the things that I forgot who I was talking to about booking a telesale appointment. I think it was Gerard, and there was actually 2 agents. And how do I book better appointments? And I think maybe CJ too. How to book better appointments doing telesales so I get more people to show up. And I realized that booking telesale appointments, if you're not going to do a first contact sale, is much more important when you've got a lead, like a physical direct mail lead. You're walking through the lead and you're getting all that stuff down, and then you're booking your appointment. And you book it between 24, 48 hours. Don't book it beyond that. But with telesales, it's a little bit different because you're not going to their house. And basically, when I was talking through some folks, it's like you actually have to do the appointment before you book the appointment. Like, what do I mean by that? It's like you're having a conversation with the client and you need to make it memorable to the client of why that they need to meet you. Because remember, you're referring to the caller that they filled a form online. Then there was a telemarketer that confirmed that they really wanted a call from an agent. They confirmed all the information. And then your job is to book, you're doing a telesale. You're either selling the first time contact or you're booking another appointment. Well, number one, you can't book the appointment beyond for 24 hours. You're asking for a no-show for sure, because the no-show rates go through the roof. I mean, the no-show rates are about 50% anyway, right? And so you got to book it in the next few hours. Like you can't, you find out, okay, so what time are you getting home from your doctor's office? Okay, I'll call you at, between 6 and 6:30 tonight, right? Like you're doing it that day. You're doing it as soon as you can get it done. And you're walking the client through their schedule. If you're going to have to book it out, then tell the client you're going to call them the day before to confirm they're going to be there. And then because the no-show rate's so high, you got to double book all your telesale appointments. If you're not double booking, then it's insane that you're not double booking your telesale appointments. Because what are you doing? You're booking 2 o'clock, a 3:30, a 5 o'clock, a 6:30, because you're giving enough time between appointments to do an appointment. And it's like, what if all those were no-show? What if 3 out of 6 showed up? You went through that period of time only being half productive at that time. It's like, dadgummit, double book every appointment. I promise you, it's going to be very rare that everyone shows up. And if it's a 50% or more no-show rate, someone's going to show up. And if 2 people show up, then you no-show one of them. Is it better to no-show someone than for them to no-show you? Like, isn't your appointment calendar more important than theirs? The answer should be yes. Okay. So you should be double booking every dadgum telesale appointment, right? And then when you book the appointment, you got to create a mini relationship. You have to do the bond of rapport. You got to get to pain finding. It's like, hey, Joe, Alex, yeah, with the Senior Benefits Center, remember, David called you yesterday about the form that you filled out online. You were looking for filing expense. Let's make sure I got the right person on the line. Okay, so you live at 123 Main Street, is that right? And then your favorite color is red. It says here your beneficiary is your son, David, and you were looking for around $25,000 in coverage. Am I talking to the right person here? Yeah, that's me. Okay, cool. Hey, it says you're in South Carolina? Yeah, South Carolina. That's beautiful down there. Where are you, near Myrtle Beach? Oh, okay, you're close by. Well, I heard the weather's just great all year round. Is that true? Okay, cool. Now tell me about David, your son. Now, is he your oldest, or you just have one son? Yeah, he's our oldest, and so he's probably the more responsible one, right? Yeah, he is. Well, that's cool. So does he have kids? You have grandchildren by David? 3, huh? Oh man, that's awesome. You get to see him a lot, or? Yeah, we do. Sometimes we watch them. Oh man, that's so cool. What are their names? Like seriously, you're bonding rapport on the phone. And then, hey, look, I don't got a lot of time. Listen, do you remember the form you filled out? Like you were wanting to get final expense. Tell me a little bit more about that. Were you looking to make sure that David had enough money to bury you or do a cremation on you so he didn't have to put on a credit card or ask for money from family members? Is that what you were looking for? Or were you looking for something completely different? Oh, yeah, that's what I was looking for. All right, cool. Well, I can definitely help you with that. Now, were you looking for a full casket burial or for cremation? Full casket. Okay, now you know how much that costs? Not really. If you're looking at a pine box and, basics, you're probably looking at maybe 10, 12,000. If you're looking for the full-blown deal, it's like 25,000. Is that kind of the range that maybe you're looking for, or are you looking for something different? Because cremation's cheaper. I mean, cremation, you can probably get away with 5,000 to 7,500. Oh, you don't believe in cremation? All right, cool. Hey, listen, I don't got a lot of time right now. I mean, unless you do. Do you have some time right now? You don't? You gotta go to doctor's appointment? Okay, great. Listen, I don't got a lot of time like right now either. When do you get back from your doctor's appointment, right? And you're booking it. Oh, 5 o'clock? Okay. Now you will be home at 5. You're not going to go stop by the grocery store. You don't got other errands you got to run. You're going to come right home. Okay. Tell you what, I'll give you half an hour. Why don't I call you between 5:30 and 6:30, just somewhere in there. I promise I'll call you back. Okay. And then it'll take about 15, 20 minutes, and we'll see what we can do to help your son out, David. Okay. So you're not talking about the benefit to him. You're talking about the benefit to his son, David. See, because people, they don't buy life insurance for themselves. They buy it for their loved one. And so instead of getting them, because people always are thinking about themselves, you get them to start thinking about their loved one, then they have a reason to meet with you, because now we're talking about David not having to put it on a credit card, right? You're getting to the pain is what you're doing. And you're booking the appointment because you've done a mini appointment already, and then you're booking an appointment between 5:30 and 6:30, okay? Then your next call is the same thing, and you book it for the same time between 5:30 and 6:30. Double book it. That's why you give an hour budge time, and then you love the one you're with, baby. You call them up, they're there, love the one you're with. You spend as much time as you need to take care of them, and don't fret about the other one, because after you're done with that appointment, you call the other one and pretend nothing happened. Don't apologize. Just say, hey, this is Alex. Remember I told you I'd call? Yeah, great. Listen. And then you go right into the appointment. Like, don't apologize. They're not even going to remember. Oh, I'm sorry I'm late. No, man, go into it. It's like, hey, Alex, remember I told you I'd call you? Yeah, or they're not there. And then you move on to your next appointment, the next block that you booked 2 people in. Does that make sense? You got to do a mini appointment before you book a telesale appointment later, because you got to get into that so that it becomes memorable. If you're just booking it and then thinking they're going to show up, they're not going to show up. Your no-show rate's going to be mega high. But if you start creating an urgency, a reason for them to show up that's beyond them, it's about their loved one, then you got a shot at them showing up. But guess what? You're going to double book it anyway. But Alex, I swear he was going to show up. It's like, dude, seriously? Really? You swear? Well, okay, it was kind of soft. I know it was kind of soft because they didn't show up, right? It cracks me up. It's like, why fight? Why fight human nature? Y'all are trying to force people into this square peg when they're around, and you're trying to force them into a round hole. They're the square peg. They're people. They're always square pegs. You try to fit it into a round hole, you're going to be sorely disappointed. You just have to expect people are typically unaccountable. People typically don't tell the whole truth about their health. People pretty much lie about their weight. They're usually about 10 to 20 pounds more than what they tell you. Okay? I'm not being cynical. I'm just being realistic. You got to know that that is the case. So work with how people are instead against. The biggest frustrations in sales is you're trying to fit these square pegs into a round hole and it won't go in. You got to make your hole square by double booking. by asking questions harder. Okay. Hey, Joe and Mary, listen, or Joe, listen. I can ask you a bunch of health questions. And you know, and I know that there's a big, massive database out there of all your health questions and all the prescriptions you ever took, right? You know that, right? And so the insurance companies, all insurance companies have access, and your doctors and all insurance carriers are required to report all your conditions. So if there's a condition that you forget about, or a medication you forget about telling me, and we present your application to the insurance carrier, they're going to think you're lying and they're going to just decline it. Okay. So is it okay if you tell me everything about what's wrong with you and that you don't forget any? We are as accurate on these questions as possible, so you have a shot of getting something approved. Okay. By the way, have you ever been declined insurance in the past? Because that's going to be a question they're going to ask. And guess what? They know that has been the case, because that's also reported. Anytime you've been declined health insurance, life insurance, that's also going to be reported. So you need to really be accurate there as well. Is that cool? Do you know by doing that, you put a steel, we used to call it in the recruiting industry, you put steel in their backbone. You basically tell them not to lie their ass off to you, okay? Not to lie to you, but you're doing it in a nice way, okay? And you're going to have much better experience. So again, assume clients are not going to tell you the full truth about their health. Assume they're typically not going to show up, okay? 50% are going to show, because most people are unaccountable. You know, assume all these things, then you're going to have much more, and then work with it in your calendar. You're going to have much better experience. Does that make sense, gang? I know I coached that much better, Gerard and CJ, with you guys one-on-one. That's why I need to really probably record those coaching calls so everyone can benefit from it. But anyway, that's quick and dirty. Okay, gang, rock on. God bless. I hope some of you new people, please don't get turned off by my coaching style. Again, it's really out of shaking you to be successful. Please be successful. Come on. Okay. Anyway, rock on, man. God bless everybody. Let's do this thing.